Thank you. Thank you all for coming today. I am Eleftheria Emfietzi, treasurer of UECNA. I am a nurse and a public health expert. Just a minute, because I have a problem with, I have to go up. Okay, here's what you see. You should see. I'm a public health expert, and together we will see the latest news about aircraft noise and health. Through the years, many studies have shown that exposure to aircraft noise has adverse effects on the health of people living near airports. Cardiovascular disease, including hypertension, annoyance, sleep disturbance, altered cognitive performance in children, and disruption in hormonal rhythm. Psychological disorders, dementia, and cancer are also possible negative effects of aircraft noise exposure. Nighttime aircraft noise significantly contributes to the increase of acute cardiovascular disease mortality and long-term exposure to it with atrial fibrillation and stroke. Still, the role of aircraft noise annoyance and noise sensitivity in this relationship remains unclear. Noise activates the sympathetic and endocrine system, which defines it as a psychological stressor. Noise sensitivity is associated with increased blood pressure, health complaints, including cardiac complaints, hypertension, psychological distress, and the use of psychotropic drugs, sleeping pills, tranquilizers, and analgesics. So, the role of aircraft noise annoyance and noise sensitivity in the association between aircraft noise levels and medication use was studied, and results came out of a pooled analysis from 7 European countries in 2021. Aircraft noise annoyance was significantly associated with the use of antihypertensive, anxiolytic, hypnotic, sedative, and anti-asthmatic medications, with no difference between countries, as well as between aircraft noise exposure and antihypertensive medication use. Results of the review also showed an increased gradient for the use of certain medications with higher levels of noise sensitivity. Although the gradient for the use of antihypertensive medication did not hold for all the countries. In addition, the results suggested the association between aircraft noise levels and antihypertensive medication were significantly higher in highly sensitive and in highly annoyed participants. There is also a systematic review of 2017, which was funded by the WHO Regional Office of Europe, supported by the Swiss Federal Office of the Environment, and delivered as part of the evidence base that underpins the environmental noise guidelines for the European region. The authors of this review say that the evidence for associations between aircraft noise and preterm birth, low birth weight, and congenital anomalies came of very low quality. But at the same time, the researchers admit that they found 6 studies for the period from August 2014 to December 2016 on the impact of noise exposure on pregnancy outcomes, and this could mean that this field of research is emerging. The studies have investigated the relationship between environmental and occupational noise and birth outcomes, including low birth weight, small for gestational age, preterm birth, spontaneous abortion, and congenital malformations, which were reviewed in a few systematic reviews. Low birth weight is associated with poorer health and development in children and adverse health outcomes in later life. It is a predictor for infant mortality, as well as impaired educational achievement and increased risk of enhanced risk of non-communicable diseases, such as of ischemic heart disease, chronic hypertension, and insulin-resistance metabolic syndrome in adults. The World Health Assembly has endorsed targets to reduce low birth weight prevalence by 30% by 2025. Similarly, preterm birth is a public health issue of global significance, which may result in mortality during the perinatal period or may lead to major health and financial consequences due to lifelong impacts. Preterm birth complications are the leading cause of death among children under 5 years of age, responsible for nearly 1 million deaths in 2015. So because of the significance of all these health issues, future studies are recommended to apply robust exposure assessment methods, modeled or measured noise levels at bedroom facade, decennial associations for different sources of noise, especially aircraft noise in our case, as well as daytime and nighttime noise, and evaluation of the impacts of noise events. Even though I don't know why. Okay. Even though noise pollution is increasingly recognized as public health hazard, yet limited evidence is available from low and middle income countries. We managed to find research which investigated the association between day-night average LDEN, aircraft noise, and the risk of death due to cardiovascular disease, stroke, and coronary heart disease at small area level around Sao Paulo's Congonhas Airport, Brazil, during the period 2011 and 2016. The study provided suggestive evidence that exposure to aircraft noise is associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease and coronary heart disease deaths. Current literature suggests that drone noise is ostensibly more annoying than road traffic or aircraft noise due to special acoustic characteristics, such as pure tones and high-frequency broadband noise. Seeing this noise as a similar stressor, we can assume that it may have the same or worse effects on health than aircraft noise. But the literature of drone noise effects on humans is still very scarce. To assess the situation regarding health impacts on the population, however, the suitability of common noise indicators for drone is uncertain. There is a need for future research to characterize drones as noise sources and explore their effects on humans to inform standards and legislation with the aim of minimizing the negative impacts of future drone operations on the population. Even though WHO's environmental noise guidelines for the European region came out on 2017 after a systematic review on environmental noise and annoyance by Rainer Gansky and allies, there is a study of 2018 that caught my attention. It says that the recommendations regarding aircraft noise annoyance in the WHO guidelines for environmental noise of 2018 are based on noise surveys conducted after 2000. The increase of % highly annoyed residents in newer studies of aircraft noise at the comparable levels of earlier studies point to the necessity of adjusting noise limit recommendations. A set of surveys was selected and analyzed by a team of researchers commissioned by WHO. This paper demonstrates that the selection of surveys and the method for analyzing the results would have a huge impact on the final recommendations. It seems that the respondents in half of the selected surveys were recruited from a especially noise-sensitive age group, not representative for the general airport population. In addition, the non-standardized questionnaire was used may not give comparable annoyance results. Two surveys had exceptionally high annoyance scores and were discarded as outliers by the researchers that conducted them. Nevertheless, the results were included in the WHO full dataset. One particular airport contributed 40% of the data, thus giving this airport a disproportionate influence on the result. The team that collected the evidence assigned the grade moderate quality to their proposed dose response function. The moderate quality evidence report was used by the WHO Guidelines Development Group to strongly recommend a limit of LDN 45 dBs to avoid adverse health effects from aircraft noise. A separate dataset has been compiled from 18 post-2000 aircraft noise surveys. All of these surveys were conducted strictly in compliance with recommended standardized methods. The survey results were analyzed according to the CTL method described on the standard ISO 1996-1 Annex E. The results of this effort indicate that the recommended exposure limit to avoid adverse health effects from aircraft noise should be LDN 53 dBs. That is why the airports ask for changes to this field, and we, the citizens living under the flight paths, must as well be prepared for these demands properly. We should demand from each state and provoke from scientific community the conduction of further health studies to prove the distress and the increased risk for depression we are living under the flight paths. Thank you all.